So we move on from sewage to biodiversity, just to show the range of topics that we're interested in. So this next project is one focused on conservation, and if you're all ready and everybody's settled in, let's resume.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Leone, and on behalf of my team, I will be talking to you today about the World Conservation Congress and the recommendations we made to help our client, the International Fund for Animal Welfare, succeed at this upcoming event. Before beginning, I would like to thank the entire team, particularly our managers, for their hard work, and I would also very much like to thank our faculty advisor, Professor Adrian Hill. Species have come and gone throughout history, weaving in and out of the tapestry of time. And for the most part, losses are offset by new species arising. Sometimes, however, this balance is thrown off. And when the rate of extinction surpasses the rate at which new species come into being to such an extent that 75% or more of the planet's species go extinct at a time, it is known as a mass extinction. And there have been 5 mass extinctions in the planet's history. 5 times this has happened. You probably have heard of the last one. It was when the dinosaurs died out. Today, we are headed for a 6th mass extinction. Yet this mass extinction would be different from all those that came before it in that it would be the first to be caused by a single species. Us. Humans are causing a biodiversity crisis. And this is a problem because in addition to its innate value, biodiversity massively benefits humans. Our coasts are protected by coral reefs and mangrove forests. We have derived drugs that fight cancer from the fungi that grows on the fur of sloths. And the very trees we depend on to draw excess carbon down out of the atmosphere have their seeds dispersed by tortoises and spider monkeys. Well, there are countless interactions like those I just mentioned, each honed by millions of years of evolution. Yet today, the extinction rate is thought to be about 1,000 times higher than it was before humans dominated the planet. And in the last 40 years alone, the number of vertebrates living on Earth has plunged by more than half. This is a crisis, equaling and inextricably linked with climate change. Biodiversity is the library of life. It is all the possibility the world has to offer, all the information it has ever devised. And we are destroying it without even fully realizing what we are destroying. Many species go extinct before we even learn of their existence. And once a species goes extinct, there's no going back. That information is gone forever. So, what can be done? What can people do to address this problem? How do you solve a global issue over which no one has jurisdiction, over which no one is in charge? What structures do we have at our disposal that we can collectively use to address this problem? Well, we have international institutions. Specifically, we have convening bodies that can gather the expertise and authority of diverse groups and organizations from governments to nonprofits to indigenous peoples' organizations. Now, gathering all this knowledge won't solve everything at once, but there is power in collaboration. Uniting the strengths of different sectors, combining diverse areas of expertise, leveraging the power of organizing, and translating all of that into action, that is a tangible, real way we can start to address this problem. Which brings me to the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, commonly known as IUCN. IUCN is the world's largest environmental network with over 1,300 member organizations. Now, each of these organizations has their own priorities and agenda, and IUCN marshals them all together. Doing this confers a certain degree of authority, and IUCN is instrumental in determining the global conservation agenda. Every 4 years, IUCN holds the World Conservation Congress. At this event, member organizations come together and propose action items in certain areas of conservation. these motions, if voted on and passed, become resolutions and recommendations which, while not legally binding, are highly influential. Now, IUCN is not the only global network bringing institutions together in an effort to solve the biodiversity crisis. Here are some of the others, and each of these plan to gather sometime in the next 2 years. And each of these networks amplify and echo each other's agendas, creating conservation trends. But IUCN is unique in that it is the only one of these networks that, in addition to governments, allows nonprofits to be members. This makes it an ideal forum, indeed one of the only forums, by which a nonprofit can get its priorities on the international agenda. Enter our client, the International Fund for Animal Welfare, commonly known as IFAW. IFAW has over 50 years of experience working to save threatened species, and they just became a member of IUCN in April 2018. IFAW takes a holistic approach to conservation, meaning that they focus on individual animals in addition to working at the species level. This makes them comparatively unique in the world of conservation nonprofits and means that they have a unique perspective to offer. And they want to offer it, and offer it effectively, at the next World Conservation Congress in 2020, the first they will attend as a member. So, what did IFAW ask us to do? IFAW asked for our help navigating the complex structure of a complex event hosted by a complex institution. Our job was to figure out how they could most effectively contribute their particular expertise to the common good. Specifically, they asked for help researching the process by which a motion becomes a resolution, designing a timeline with important dates and deadlines, and analyzing the tactics they would need to know to make a motion a success. What strategies did they need to know going into the Congress? So we set out to determine what makes a motion a success, but we quickly realized that before you can answer that question, you have to define what success means, what it means to you in the context in which you are working. Now, this was a real learning moment for us. We decided that in this context, success meant two things. First, a motion had to pass and be adopted by the Congress, and second, it had to actually be implemented. It had to make a difference in the real world. Now, we thought that the first of these would actually be our biggest challenge, getting the motion to pass the Congress, but we quickly realized that actually most high-quality, well-constructed motions do pass, and this was another light bulb moment for us. So we realized that our biggest challenge would actually be how to figure out how to ensure successful implementation of the motion, because that doesn't always happen. Motions sometimes pass the Congress and then just aren't effective in the real world. To do all of this, we studied past motions from the last 3 World Conservation Congresses, so motions that were recent, and motions that were relevant, i.e. they were wildlife related. We then filled in any gaps in our knowledge with expert interviews. We determined that successful motions, like the 2016 motion on closing domestic ivory markets, tend to use specific language, assign clear responsibilities, and have the wide support of IUCN members. Unsuccessful motions, on the other hand, tend to try to achieve broad goals without taking actionable steps, or they run counter to current government policies, or they depend on factors outside of human control. For instance, the multiple motions that have attempted to help the vaquita porpoise. Unfortunately, in the vaquita's case, the process just started too late. We simply waited too long. We also learned that the timeline the client asked for was extremely important. The submission window for 2020 motions starts tomorrow and closes by the end of August. IFAW needs to be proposing these motions soon. They need to be reaching out and generating support and co-sponsors. This process is real, and it's happening now. Now, we had learned and informed our client about most of this by about halfway through our process. So we expanded our scope and drafted 2 motions on areas of conservation that were important to IFAW and in which they had a great deal of expertise. We did this by researching the content specific to those areas of concern, by looking into the formatting of World Conservation Congress motions down to where the semicolons go, and in looking into how to construct a successful argument. So what were the language and what was the flow used in successful motions? We have already delivered these draft motions to IFAW, and they are currently refining them. We also created a template summarizing the knowledge we had gained on how to draft a successful motion. Now, this serves as a guideline, giving step-by-step instructions on how to compose a successful motion. Now, we created it for IFAW, but it could likewise be used, and we very much hope it will be, by any new member of IUCN looking to attend their first World Conservation Congress. So, to review, our mandate was to help IFAW make their mark at the first World Conservation Congress they would attend as a member. We did this, helping to demystify the Congress and working to facilitate IFAW's debut at the place where they could most successfully get their priorities on the global conservation agenda. But our work will also be useful more broadly, having impacts beyond any one motion or even any one Congress. Our product will facilitate this process for any organization working to protect the world's biodiversity by making it easier for them to navigate a complex institution so as to actually successfully make a difference. The more organizations that can contribute their knowledge successfully to organizations like IUCN, the more likely it is that we can slow and eventually halt this ecological disaster. And that is cause for hope. Thank you, and I will now take any questions.
That was fantastic.
Oh, thanks.
2 questions.
Yeah.
Do you have a process for sharing that template with IUCN, or a plan for how that's going to get disseminated to other new members? Mm-hmm. That's one question. And the other is, what were your 2 proposals?
Those are both really good questions. So the template will be a part of our final report, which will be sent to IFAW directly, but also will be posted online with all of the other workshop groups' reports. As for the motions, so we worked very closely with IFAW, and IFAW is currently working on those motions right now and generating co-sponsors, and those motions will become public in a few months' time, so that'll be very exciting when that happens.
Other questions? Okay, well, if you have no other questions, thank you. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much.